What's going on, guys? Mohammed aka Magnolia Mo here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to take a look at the LP10 from Arylic. It's an AirPlay to Google Cast music streamer. Currently it is selling for $99 on Amazon and as well as Arylic.com. And thank you, Arylic, for sending this to me and for the continued partnership. I have reviewed other Arylic products like the Arylic B50, which I currently have in my system. Everything that you're going to hear in this video is pretty much, my thoughts, my impressions. This is a very good device if you want to enhance your music system, right? Because of the wireless music streaming capability, because of Tidal Connect, which kind of appeals to me because I don't need to have a PC running to play music behind me using an older Technics integrated amplifier that I have. If you have a newer receiver, for instance, right, like a Denon or a Pioneer or an Onkyo for that matter, all of them have the digital music streaming capability built in, and you can use the Tidal Connect feature or the Spotify Connect feature, I guess, to stream your music from your phone using the app that's built into the AVR, for instance. So what the LP10 does is it gives you the ability to stream music when you don't have a device, right, like an AVR that has the Tidal or the Spotify or the Apple Music apps built in. So this basically works perfectly for me because I can use this to stream music to my Technics integrated amplifier and then enjoy the music on my Martin Logan montages. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. So we have the manual. Then you have the 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter cable. You also have a 3.5 millimeter to RCA cable. And then you have a USB-C to a USB-A cable. Here is the power brick. You can use this to power your LP10. The other end connects into the LP10 itself. You can also, if you're just gonna connect your PC to the LP10 directly, you don't need the power brick. The PC can power the LP10. The other thing you get here is this remote control, right? Which is great to have. And here it is, the Arylic LP10. Up top you have touch controls. Around the back we have an Ethernet port, the USB-A. If you want to play music from a USB stick, right, you can stick that right in there and then play the music off of that. And then you got your line in and line out, 3.5 millimeters. You got the optical output, and then you have that USB-C, which can, as I mentioned, which can be used to connect directly to a PC or to power the unit. First setup was using the headphone out of the Fiio K17. So the LP10 connected into the Fiio K17 via the optical, Tidal Connect running on my iPhone while using the MEZE 109 Pro headphones. The second setup was the same LP10 into the Fiio K17, Fiio K17 being used as a DAC, but in this case I was using the line out from the K17 to go into the Arylic B50 stereo amplifier, powering my Bowers & Wilkins 686S2s. And then the third setup was the LP10 feeding the K17, Fiio K17 DAC, which was connected to my Technics integrated amplifier running my Martin Logan Montage floor standing speakers.
Maybe together we can get somewhere, any place is better.
Then last but not least, I connected the LP10 to my Pioneer Elite receiver. The receiver then is connected into my Macintosh 8207 running my Bowers & Wilkins CT7.4 speakers, essentially using the built-in DACs on the Pioneer to listen to the music. setup is fairly basic, but it takes a little bit of time. So you're gonna have to download the Go Control app for your iOS or for your Android device. Once you have downloaded the app, you can click on the plus button and add the Arylic LP10 to the app. You can see here I have the Arylic B50 as well. It just makes it very easy to control all your devices right from this app. So to play music, all you have to do is go to your Tidal app, your Apple Music app, or your Spotify app. In my case, I'm going to use the Tidal app. Once the app is up and running, you select your music, and then top right corner, you see the speaker icon. You will press the speaker icon, and then within the speakers, you'll see the Arylic LP10. You select that, and Tidal Connect is active, and you are on your way to listening to music. Now you can see what's playing within the app as well. There are some additional features within the app, such as the treble, mid-bass, bass control, balance. You can activate some deep bass if you like. There are some preset EQs. I kept it on flat, but you can select whatever you like, pop, jazz, etc. And then there is a custom EQ feature using an 8-band graphic equalizer that you can adjust to your liking. And that is the lay of the land as far as the app is concerned. It works with Apple AirPlay, works with Google Cast, Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect. It's got Bluetooth, DLNA, and universal plug-and-play capabilities. Multi-room capabilities, so you can have multiple LP10s in different rooms, and then you can use the Go Control app to actually play music in different rooms, essentially. Or you can use the Google Cast feature to play music onto other devices or other LP10s in your home. There is yet another way that you can configure the LP10. You can take the 3.5mm to RCA output directly from the LP10 and go into an amplifier. So I could have done that. I could have gone directly into the Arylic B50 using the analog output, but then you're at the mercy of the digital to analog converter that's built into the LP10. If you want to keep it simple, that's fine, but that is another way to do it, right? I actually preferred to listen to it going into an external DAC and then into an amplifier and then speakers, or connected directly into an AVR using the built-in DACs of an AVR, right? So I had the most amount of fun, I have to say, with the Pioneer and the LP10 connected, and then running my B&W CT7.4s off of the Macintosh, right? So that's where I got the most enjoyment, right, from a musicality perspective. So now when it comes to the overall sound, I listened to quite a bit of music, and I just kept on playing one track after another, one album after another, because it's so easy, right? Using your phone, you got the app right here, you're sitting in your in this chair or my sofa, and then I was just going crazy, right? Listening to all kinds of music, and it was all right, enjoyable, right? So the highs were there, the mids were fairly clear, the bass output was, whether it was the Martin Logan Montage behind me or whether it was the MEZE 109 Pros, it was a lot of fun to listen to. The bass, the treble, the mid-range, everything was clear. The only thing I have to say is this, right? From a sound perspective, what I found was the LP10 pretty much upsampled everything, right? So if I was playing CD quality, right, tracks that were 44.1 kilohertz or even 48 kilohertz, for instance, right, the LP10 would upsample it to it'd take the 44 and upsample it to 88 kilohertz. Take the 48 kilohertz, upsample it to 96 kilohertz. I don't know if this is a Tidal Connect thing or if it's the Arylic LP10, but I wasn't able to play 24-bit 192 kilohertz off of the LP10 using Tidal Connect, right? So it would downsample it to 96 kilohertz. Now, you may not notice the difference, but I decided to switch it up, and I wanted to just you know, just for my own sake, right? Compare the sound directly from the Pioneer, for instance, right? Bypassing the Arylic LP10, or directly from the Fiio K17. So when I actually switched, right, it was almost like there was a veil, you know, that was removed, essentially, right? The sound just got a little bit more cleaner and a little bit more clearer, which I didn't notice at first because that's all I was listening to, but in comparison, right, the highs were slightly rolled off on the LP10. It sounded more compressed, right, when I did the comparison. So I don't know if it's a Tidal Connect thing or if it is the LP10 itself. I doubt it's the LP10, because if I'm gonna just play just regular music, that's what I was doing, right? Using Tidal Connect. I'm not using the DACs that are built into the LP10. I'm just going digital out using the optical. It's that upsampling that was making the overall sound, you know, just get more softer, I guess, right? So that's the only thing I noticed. If you're not gonna do the comparison, and if you don't have like $1,000 DAC sitting around, you're not gonna notice, right? So that's the only complaint I have, is I don't know if it's the Tidal Connect issue where it's upsampling everything, or if it's the LP10 itself, right? Upsampling or downsampling, because spec-wise, the LP10 can, you know, does support 24-bit 192 kilohertz. So outside of that, right, you know, there are the possibilities, right, with the LP10 are, you know, there are so many, right? You can connect it in many different configurations. So overall, I am going to keep this. I'm going to recommend this as well as a nice streaming device that you can have in your home, whether you want to connect it to your AVR, whether you want to have it in your desktop setup, or whether you want to just, you know, have a side setup in your garage or something, right? For $99, to me, it is a very good device to have, to own, to have in your system. All right, I hope you guys found this video useful. As usual, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.